this whole soliloquy, the most famous soliloquy probably ever written, and he has no answer at the end. And that's why he has no direction. He has no orientation of his meaning. It's because he doesn't have a why. And you have to find a why in life, in everything that you do. To wake up in the morning, sure, that's basic. But also, anything that you're pursuing in life, any relationship that you're in, any job that you have, any activity that you're doing, you should be able to ask yourself at any moment, is what I'm doing right now worthy of me? Is what I'm doing right now demonstrating, proving that I love myself? If somebody were to walk in their door right now and just watch you, would they just like that? If somebody were to walk in the room right now and look at you, would they believe that you loved yourself based off of the way that you're behaving, based off of the things that you're doing? Yeah, there's some selfishness to it, but that's because at its base, we understand that life matters. And if life matters, then we owe it to ourselves and to people around us to pursue it. And how best to pursue it, that's the question. If you have a why, you'll find a how. If you find a reason to love yourself, then you can't help but love humanity as well. And humanity is worth loving. Art, music, literature, dance, all of the things that make us human fall under the category of the humanities. And that's because what it is to be human is to create these things, to create and admire beautiful things, just because they're beautiful. Why? Why do people harm others? Why do people violate other people? Why do people do terrible things? I'm sorry. Those are just my sick brothers, man. But the question is, are you really going to let other people determine your behavior? Are you going to let other people determine your values and what matters in your life? Because the values, what matters in your life, what values you have, determines the direction of your life. And if you let other people determine those things, they're determining the direction of your life for you. Part of waking up is to look not just at your alarm clock, not just at the world outside, but to look at the inside world. Because the inside world, your inside world is going to determine your outside world. When you get those two things in harmony, man, just like when you get your thinking and your feeling in harmony, I don't know. I don't know how it could end badly. It has to end well. Cornel West, who ran for president, I think he got like 0.25 of 1% of the vote, quarter of 1% of the vote. But watch out for him next year, he'll come back. He's a philosopher, and he's a really fascinating guy. I disagree with him about a lot of stuff, but there's absolute authenticity in this guy. He's a black dude who's been fired from almost as many professorships, I think, as he's resigned from. This is the dude who resigned from Harvard. He was pissed off. He's pissed off at Harvard. He's like, screw Harvard, and he quit and he went someplace else. And he's a guy, man. Anyway, he was in one of the Matrix movies too, interestingly enough. But yeah, he's a fascinating guy though. And he was talking about years ago, over in Charlottesville. Gosh, probably 8 years ago now, so long before. But there was a march that white supremacists showed up to, neo-Nazis. Now, I hear people talk about that, like, oh man, there were Nazis there, there were white supremacists there. I hear that now, and I just kind of shrug my shoulders and go, yeah, I'm sure there were. Because we use that as a phrase now of just like, I don't like you, and so therefore you're a white supremacist. There was Larry Elder, who ran for governor of California a few years ago. It's a black dude from Inglewood, and the LA Times said that he was the black face of white supremacy. So all that really means for a lot of people is like, nah, it doesn't mean, it just means you don't like them. But over in Charlottesville, it took me like a week to find out there were actually like real ones, like real like Sieg Heilig neo-Nazis marching. I was like, holy shit. And it made me sad because I thought, you're so used to hearing that accusation now that it didn't register with me at all. When I heard it, I just thought, they just must not like them. But Cornel West was out there marching with them, interestingly. It's a black dude right in the middle of the sea of all these people. And he wasn't marching in support of them. He's marching because he wanted to talk to them. Find out, why do you believe these things? What is? And Cornel West is smart, dude. This guy is sharp. He's so good with, he's just as good with like ancient Greek philosophy as he is with modern philosophy, modern political philosophy. And he melds these things in such incredible ways, and he talks about them in such practical, real world ways. I admire the guy, man. Again, we disagree on a lot of stuff, but I admire this guy to death. I shouldn't have said that because he's like 70-something years old. I hope he didn't die. But I may have just killed Cornel West. But when he was talking about marching with them, he was saying, he referred, and he talks like this. He just says, when I was out there marching with my sick white brothers, and I was trying to figure out, and it's interesting because we don't think of people this way. We think of like, they're just evil, they're terrible. But what is evil? Evil is, a lot of times, it's a moral sickness. That's why I was asking you, like, what comes out of you when you have an idea that makes you sick? Because an idea can make you physically ill. That happens. You ever get like sad or heartbroken or depressed and you get like physically ill, it affects your body? Of course. I think most of us have had some kind of an experience like that, some very drastically. And that's just because it makes you ill physically. But there's also like moral illness, moral sickness, that you get an idea into your head and then it comes out of you and it manifests in the ways that these guys were marching down the street. And Cornel West is marching next to them because he sees himself as a philosopher, as a healer, which I think is absolutely beautiful. It's not to tell people that you're wrong and to outsmart them, which is a lot of philosophy does, a lot of philosophers. A lot of philosophy is just words criticizing words, criticizing words. It doesn't do like anything positive in the world. And he's a guy who's been trying to do positive things with philosophy his entire life. And so when he's talking about them and he refers to them as his sick white brothers, he means them. They're ill, they're mentally ill, they're morally ill. Not the mentally ill in the sense of they're crazy, they're stupid, they're evil. Are they evil? Well, they have evil ideas. You know, it's just like if you have a cold, are you sick? You have a virus. Yeah, but hopefully we can cure that virus. Hopefully your body can cure that virus. Hopefully your mind can cure the moral evils that you take in. And if not, you go to a physician. If your body can't, if your immune system can't handle it, you go to a physician. And then hopefully the physician can prescribe something that can help you be well again. And then sometimes you have to go to a person with ideas who can help you get rid of those ideas, or not just forget about them, but learn why they're wrong, and then see a better way. But you aren't going to want to see a better way, and you won't be open to those ideas unless you, if you can tell me if this sounds familiar, you seek your own well-being and flourishing. In other words, you have to love yourself enough to want to be better. And if you're convinced about your ideas being correct, then there's no harm in hearing other ideas. And if you can take that in, and maybe the medicine that you're taking is like, examples, I take this stuff, these amino acids. I just messaged a friend of mine, and this dude's Jack, man. And I asked him, like, what kind of amino acids are you taking? The ones I'm taking, they're pretty good. But does he have one that's better?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Why? Because I want to be right. You know those people in life who just want to be right? Oh, they just want to be right. Yeah, I'm that guy. But not because I want to be right in the sense of I don't want to hear what you have to say. It's like, if you have a better idea, I want your idea. Because I want to be right. Not that I want my idea to be right. I want to have the right idea. And if you can understand the difference between those two things, you can grow as a thinker. When I say that, all I'm saying is you can grow as a person. You can grow as a human being. Because what is it to be a human? That's why those questions matter. They're not just like, kindergartner questions. Why? It's why? What matters to you and why? Because if nothing matters to you, then you're what Nietzsche would refer to as a nihilist. It just means that nothing matters to you. So then should you eat or should you not? Doesn't matter. Should you go to college or not? I guess it doesn't matter. Should you pursue this one career or this other one? It doesn't matter. And then we can see where Hamlet's coming from when he asks that question, to be or not to be. That's the question. Should I live or should I die? Should I kill myself or should I keep on going? And he debates this question with himself. Is it better to rage against the slings and arrows of life? And then if I can oppose them, maybe I can overcome them. Or maybe I just it's too much work, maybe I just die and go to sleep. But perchance, and if I go to sleep, perchance to dream. He says, but there's the rub. There's the thing. Who knows what happens after death? And he goes to this whole soliloquy, the most famous soliloquy probably ever written, and he has no answer at the end. And that's why he has no direction. He has no orientation of his meaning. It's because he doesn't have a why. And you have to find a why in life, in everything that you do. To wake up in the morning, sure, that's basic. But also, anything that you're pursuing in life, any relationship that you're in, any job that you have, any activity that you're doing, you should be able to ask yourself at any moment, is what I'm doing right now worthy of me? Is what I'm doing right now leading to my well-being and flourishing? Is what I'm doing right now demonstrating, proving that I love myself? If somebody were to walk in their door right now and just watch you, would they just like that? If somebody were to walk in the room right now and look at you, would they believe that you loved yourself based off of the way that you're behaving, based off of the things that you're doing? If they could read your thoughts, would they know that you loved yourself? And that doesn't mean that you don't ever doubt yourself. That doesn't mean you don't question yourself. Of course you question yourself. But you do all of this out of love. Why do we help other people? It's out of love, because we desire and seek their well-being and flourishing. Why? Because we recognize intuitively at the very base of things that life matters. Life is important. Life is worth doing. The very fact that Hamlet's default, because he doesn't decide whether to live or die, the default therefore is to live. And that tells us something important about life. And now the question only becomes how best to live it. And that's the thing that strikes me, is like how best to live. And it can be such it strikes me as something that's just unspeakably sad in a life that's as short as ours, because oftentimes people never think about these things, how best to live. And if they do, a lot of times it doesn't hit them until much later. Or people on their deathbed, they look back and they think about their life. What do I regret? What do I wish I had done more of? If you can do that in real time, you can do those things in real time. I think I told you guys the story about when I died one time. Yeah, and that refocused me, at least for myself, to determine what is it that's most important in life. And I'm not saying that the things that are important for me have to be important for you. They're probably not going to be. That's one of the beauties of life. The fact that there's so many of us, we can have so many different perspectives. And that's why I love reading the journals that you guys actually write and the work that you guys actually do, because it gives me some insight into you. It allows you to expand the scope and experience and variety of my life, to talk to you guys, because it expands the scope and the variety of my life. Yeah, there's some selfishness to it, but that's because at its base, we understand that life matters. And if life matters, then we owe it to ourselves and to people around us to pursue it. And how best to pursue it, that's the question. Yeah. Don't think, just do. Yeah.
Is that like YOLO?
Yeah. Because there are two ways to read that. YOLO. Yes? You only live once. Fuck it, let's jump out of this plane. Or you only live once. Fuck it, let's jump out of this plane. But let's put the parachute on first. Because when you recognize that you only live once, that it becomes valuable to you. I know I harped on this a few weeks ago about how incredibly precious and important every single one of you are, and how we just don't, I can't stress it enough, man. Like, make sure that whatever you're doing is worthy of you. That's why I was asking, like, how do you determine what makes you happy, or what you're going to pursue? Because whatever you're going to pursue, make sure that it's worthy of you. Make sure that the things you do, the people that you're around, the activities that you're participating in, the things that you're thinking, especially about yourself, are going to be worthy of you. Because if you're a positive character and you think those things about yourself, other people will start to kind of like get that from you, and you're going to improve the world wherever you go. And I mean, we've got those two choices, right? You can be gods or devils. Which one are we? Are we creators or are we destroyers? Are we people who cause joy wherever we go? Or are we people who cause joy whenever we go? We all know people who are in both of those camps, and which one you're going to be is entirely in your power. And it's within your power of thinking, and also in your power of feeling. Because I promise you, the things that are important to you probably come more from this feeling than your thinking. Your feelings tell you the things that you want. Your emotions tell you what you want. Your thinking tells you how to get there. And it tells you whether or not you should be pursuing that. I want to rule the world. Let me devise a plan. Maybe I shouldn't wipe everybody out in doing it. Okay, then you go back to the drawing board. But it's worth finding out why those things are important to you. Why it is people are marching out in the streets holding placards about justice. And I have done this before, pulled them aside and asked them what justice is. And they'll explain to me, but within their specific cause, we have to do this, we have to do that. I go, great, what do those things have in common with justice? What is justice, though? We don't even know, but we're out there marching for it. And I told you, if I ever had a child, I'd name them Justice. That way when people are out in the streets marching, no justice, no peace, I go, come on, I gotta take you over there. And then he can show up, justice is here. Okay, let's have peace. We can all go home now. I had my teacher, the guy who considered to be my teacher, his name is Justice, Justus though, Justice Richards. But the things that you want, it's worth asking myself, why do I want that? Why do I want justice? Do I want justice because I'm pissed off and I want to beat people over the head because my life isn't going the way that I want it to go? Or do I want justice because because of a love for people? Because I desire and seek the flourishing and well-being of other people. You know, it's kind of like with speech. You know, we have like the speech police. You can't say that. You can't say that. Do you think they really care about the people whose language they're policing, or do you think they're using it because they want to be able to control you and stop you from saying something, and they feel like that's going to have power? You know, like I say, you call somebody, you know, one of my red flags on my desk over there is I call people retarded. And like, you can't say that. That's terrible. Shut up, retard. You're only saying that because you're trying to exert some kind of power and control over me, because you don't have any control over power over your life. Because otherwise, you really care about people who are mentally retarded? Are you out there actively working? Are you going to volunteer at these places? Are you actually engaging with that community? Or are you just stopping other people from using words? Well, you shouldn't use that word. All right, well, is that justice? Tell me what justice is. Tell me what goodness is. Tell me what rightness is. Yeah, it comes from Socrates, finding out why. Because once you know what something is and why you believe it, well, geez, if you have a why, you'll find a how. You know, if you find a reason to love yourself, then you can't help but love humanity as well. And humanity is worth loving. Think about the things that are great about humanity. We have a field of study called the humanities. You guys ever hear of it? No. Yeah, when I was in high school, we didn't have 12th grade English. We studied the humanities. Humanities are, tell me if any of this sounds interesting to you. Art, music, literature, dance, all of the things that make us human fall under the category of the humanities. And that's because what it is to be human is to create these things, to create and admire beautiful things, just because they're beautiful. Why? Because humanity is beautiful, but we do such terrible things and we don't deserve dogs. You ever see a dog in the wild? Yeah. That dog does not want to be your friend. You ever see polar bears out in the wild? Yeah, go ask a polar bear for a Coke. See what happens. Nature does not give a fuck about us. We are the ones who have managed to carve out those areas. And yeah, there's still those tendencies in some people. Why? Why do people harm others? Why do people violate other people? Why do people do terrible things? I'm sorry. Those are just my sick brothers, man. Let's try talking to them. Let's see if we can work things out. You have to be ready to fight evil if you come across evil. Absolutely. You need to have that monster in you in case. But the monster shouldn't be your go-to. I have a joke. I was talking to somebody a couple days ago. He's a police officer. I won't say where he's locally. And I made a joke to him about pulling a gun and going boom, 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 boom. Freeze! See how those two things should be in the other direction? Bam, 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 stop resisting. But maybe stop resisting first. Maybe our go-to shouldn't be the monster, but instead to look at people and just go, man, you're sick. You really are. This person's hurting. That's why they're fighting over a parking space over in Mission Valley. If you saw the Dago video. People are fighting over a parking space in a parking lot with a bunch of parking spaces. Why? Because they're sick. And I don't mean this in a patronizing, you're sick, I'm gonna pray for you kind of a way. It's, frick, man, something happened to this person. Something happened to you too. Something happened to me too. It's the thinking person who deals with those things so that you can help others. And you don't have to help others by running around getting in their business. Here's the way you help others. By being a good person. I was talking to somebody another period, and they're trying to get an A in the class. And they're like, they're turning stuff in, and I asked them, what grade do you want? They said, I'm working for an A. They're close, like 88% or something like that. And I said, okay. I said, if things happen, whatever, we'll figure something out. And the person says, okay, but I want to earn it. Of course. I said, I wouldn't give it to you otherwise. I said, kindness is giving you the opportunity to earn the A. Kindness isn't giving you the A. Kindness is giving you the opportunity to earn the A. And they go, I like that. The why, it's the how. So kindness is not going to always be just doing whatever you want for people. It's going to be just being a kind person. And it reverberates, it goes throughout. If you're a kind person, are people going to take advantage of you? Yes. If you're a mean people, are people going to take advantage of you? Yes. They're going to try. They're going to try. And you might be like, I'm not going to let that one person get through. You're going to be mean to 99 people to not let that one person get through. Or the other way around. But the question is, are you really going to let other people determine your behavior? Are you going to let other people determine your values and what matters in your life? Because what matters in your life, what values you have, determines the direction of your life. And if you let other people determine those things, they're determining the direction of your life for you. So it's something I've tried to emphasize all year. Wake up. Wake up. You have to rest sometime, but I think for myself, I'm past my quota. You gotta wake up. And part of waking up is to look not just at your alarm clock, not just at the world outside, but to look at the inside world. Because the inside world, your inside world is going to determine your outside world. When you get those two things in harmony, man, just like when you get your thinking and your feeling in harmony, man, I don't know. I don't know how it could end badly. It has to end well. So, I'll ask you guys one more time, last time. Questions? Comments? Concerns? Complaints? Criticisms? Critiques? I'm always worried about that last one. Yeah.